This is your friendly neighborhood PhD, and you're listening to the TyePod. Hey everybody, it's another episode of the TyePod. Today I'm featuring Callie, who is I know you have actually endometriosis experience on your end. You also host a podcast that we'll learn a little bit about too. And I'm always happy to have other podcasters come on and talk about, their shows and what their mission's about. And I'm looking forward to having you join us today.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here and that you asked me to come on. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I love it. I love the conversations that we get to have too with all of our chronic illness experience, even if it's not the same diagnosis, obviously. But just as an icebreaker, always like to ask the guests about their music interests and maybe something like a song that's been with you your whole life, or is there a recent one that really connects? Just kind of wherever you want to go.
Yeah. So right now, Justin Bieber's album Swag is on repeat for me. I think it's like one of his, I think it's genius in my personal opinion. But out of the album, so this is kind of funny. My favorite song right now is Go Baby. And the reason why is because my sister is currently pregnant with twins. And instead of the chorus being go, baby, go, we say grow, baby, grow.
Just to speed up the process a little bit, maybe.
So we're singing it to her tummy, and we're just like, go baby, grow. So yeah, that for me is definitely on repeat, and no con.
Nice. Well, do you have other nieces or nephews already, or is this going to be your first?
I am going to be a first-time aunt.
First-time aunt.
I cannot wait.
That's being an uncle. I have to say, it's pretty worth it. It's pretty.
I mean, we get to spoil them in all the best ways, and then hand them off.
We're always the good guy,
you take care of
right?
it now.
Yeah, we don't have to do any discipline or. Yeah,
that's awesome.
I
can't wait.
That's cool that you connect, the music to something going on in your life too. I think there's always some kind of connection, some interpretation we can make with it where it fits. So that's pretty awesome.
Music for me is really healing, and I feel it deeply. So when I resonate with an artist or song, like I also have ADHD, so I have to just repeat.
I feel that. Yeah, some of the songs they're just right. You want to just keep them going.
Totally.
Are you one of those that has kind of a diverse interest in music, or you like a lot of sounds, or do you go more like one genre?
No, I'm pretty diverse. I will say the only music that I don't listen to is like hardcore metal or rock and roll.
Like the death metal version of
Yeah. But other than that, I am
kind of everything.
To everything.
Yeah. That's kind of how I am too. I'll listen to everything once too and just check it out. But
totally. I care more just about the beat.
True.
You feel it inside.
Yeah. You can get in a really good work groove too. Yeah.
Totally. And those songs that you just turn the volume all the way up, you're in your car, windows down, and you're just
not thinking at all.
No, it's the best feeling ever.
I totally agree with that. Yeah. I've been building a podcast, not a podcast, but a playlist for all the guests that I've had and put their music on there. So I'll definitely be adding that one too.
That's such a great idea, actually. Yeah. I love that idea.
It's super diverse. I look through it and I'm just amazed how many, different songs there are.
I might copy you on that, Ty.
Hey, I'm okay with that.
But I'll give you credit.
Hey, that works. Yeah, I won't be doing royalties or anything like that. So
you should.
Yeah. Hey, maybe in the future I'll work that out somehow.
Definitely.
Yeah. But no, that's really cool to get your take on music. I'm always interested in that. But
I love that.
Kind of to transition into your story, I was thinking if you could just give a short elevator talk style intro to kind of you and your situation, and then we can go into details from there.
Yeah. Definitely. So I am 41 years old and I live in Denver, Colorado. By day, I am a senior spine medical device rep. And I also started my own podcast and company last October, so October 2025, called Endo Warriors and Own My Endo. And it was kind of born out of my own personal journey with endometriosis and feeling very isolated, alone, angry. And I decided I needed to channel all those emotions. And so I turned pain into purpose, and I use the podcast as a way to amplify patients' voices where they can come on, get angry, talk about their stories. And through my consulting business, which is on Own My Endo, I work one-on-one with patients to help them navigate their journey, both in, the healthcare system, insurance, emotionally. And it's just hit the ground running last October. And I am honestly quite shocked at what it's come to this far.
Yeah.
Very proud.
Yeah. Oh, that's really great to, hear that you're kind of approaching it in multiple ways. It seems like, by letting guests have their own platform, but then if you work one-on-one with them, you can help them navigate other sides of the diagnosis. So I mean, that's going to feel really good to kind of have that twofold approach,
it's the most gratifying thing that I've ever done in my life. And I'm sure when you first started your podcast, there's a lot that goes behind it. And I naively went into it thinking it was going to be really simple. Yeah. I could talk your ear off for hours. I am an open book. And I was like, this is going to be a piece of cake. And I'll
Right.
never forget the first time I got on and I had to record just the intro. I think I took like 90 takes because it's
I
such a
feel you
different
there.
form of communication.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's also, it's life changing, to be
Hmm.
honest.
It really is. That made me flash back. Back when I was in graduate school, I did some kind of Shark Tank pitch
Oh, you
style
did?
things.
Cool.
And so like I know exactly what you mean because I think I sat in my office and I was trying to record like a minute and a half, you know, like pitch. And I must have taken 50 different takes. And
It's so hard.
I mean, I was like trying to read from a prompter
Yep.
and you're like everything was rehearsed and it was just like, okay, I think that experience helped me, as I was starting the podcast. So I'm like,
Absolutely.
I'm not doing that again. I'm not going to
No.
be, that pitch style person. So yeah,
Yeah. Totally
that's
feel
a
you.
thing you have to
Totally.
learn, I think, with the podcasting.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so I'm curious, when you were first starting out, did you consider making it an individual, just you talking about, different topics, or was like the guest thing where you wanted to go right away?
So it was both.
Mhm.
I really I needed to tell my story. I had been suffering for so long going through what I went through, and I just needed an outlet. And so at first it was me just doing voice notes about like what I was feeling and what I was going through. And then I kind of had a light bulb go off and was like, if I'm feeling this way, and then doing as much research as I've done about endometriosis,
Mhm.
there's no way that there are not millions of other women who are feeling the exact same way. And I truly feel that when something is a problem within the system, the louder you get and the more people that come together, that is actually when change happens. And so it turned into being this like idea of bringing anybody who wants to come on. And it doesn't have to be endometriosis. It literally can be
Okay.
any chronic illness or
So you're
chronic pain.
diversifying. Yeah.
Yeah. And giving them the space to freely talk about as much or as little as they want about their journey,
Mhm.
and having exactly like you do, just connecting. And through that, it's been not only therapeutic for me, but the feedback that I've got from people who are listening or guests,
Mhm.
to know that it's impacting them as well in the way that I had envisioned is, I mean, what more could you ask for?
Mhm. Very true. No, that makes so much sense, and I don't know what the experience has been like for you, but it feels like each episode, there's kind of this halfway point where the guests, and the host are like in that comfort zone, and then it kind of opens up and it really feels, like both
Yeah, I
sides are
mean, you
able to,
connect on such a different level.
yeah,
I mean, like we're
exactly.
strangers, but we have an
But not in
immediate
a
connection.
way. Yeah.
And so it
Yeah, it's
doesn't
interesting.
feel like a stranger. Like
Right.
there's this unspoken language between us that people who don't have chronic illness or chronic pain
Mhm.
can't fully understand, right? And
Right.
so when you're talking to somebody, even across the screen,
Yeah.
where you don't have to really describe the experience because that person just knows because they've been through it.
There's some depth there, like right
e-
from the get-go. Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And it seems like, did you initially go to it as a way to, I guess, find community or combat just, your experience and kind of reach out, and almost a healing thing just for you initially? Was that kind of where it started?
Yeah, I think it definitely was. I found that during my experience, my journey, which took 24 years,
Mhm.
I didn't know a single other person who had endometriosis. I mean, I
Mhm.
didn't even know I had it. I'm 41
Okay.
now. I didn't get diagnosed until I was 37, and no one around me had it. And also
Mhm.
going through IVF, when I was seeking out a podcast or a book or something where I felt like when I picked it up or I listened to it, I could see myself in that story, I couldn't find anything because most of the stories and the people that were shown on TV were going through IVF, but they got the baby at the end. And
Okay.
there was no conversation. There was no one talking about, well, there's millions of women that go through IVF and we don't end up with a baby. And
Mhm.
adding on top of that, endometriosis is a completely different ballgame. And so I definitely was seeking some type of community and connection. But I had no idea that I needed it as badly as I did until starting
Yeah.
the podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think that does touch on something that's really important, is kind of that real life authentic experience thing. It's not always the exact ending or the goal that, that we're able to get with what we're going through, and I mean, that's a very real human element that, I mean, and even like on social media, there's this tendency to gloss over and only share, the best
Yep.
things. And that's just not
No, it's not
life.
real life. And
No.
that was also part of what I really wanted to do with my show, was to fully show up authentically with no filter. I want conversations to be about the things that people aren't talking about.
Yeah.
Like cuss, get angry, get mad, like
actually vent a little bit on
let's do it.
Yeah. Same here. You know, I think that, and I didn't envision even really having a podcast. I had an Instagram account that was like, yeah, I'll start sharing some stuff, you know, after I had some progressive things with my condition, you know, and then it was like, oh, this can be, you know, something that's really beneficial. And I don't know if your goal initially was to go with only people that had experience in the endo world, but, you know, for me, I saw all these like niche areas, like everyone branching out, like only their diagnosis is the focus. And for me, you know, that felt like there was something really missing, because I do think there is that thread that connects every, you know, chronic illness, disability. There is something there that's shared. So, you know, I'm curious your thoughts on that.
So I named it Endo Warriors for a reason. And the reason why is because it's not copyrighted, and because the community refers to themselves as Endo Warriors. And so if I were to meet somebody off the street and say, I'm an Endo Warrior, and they were too, it was like immediate connection. And so I wanted to name it that because it is exactly what it says. But I did set out, like you kind of just said, where I was like, okay, I'm just going to really like shine a light on endometriosis. And I think that after a few weeks, I realized that even though somebody who has PCOS or fibroids or any ulcerative colitis, Crohn's, it's a chronic illness. It's a chronic disease. Our journeys are not going to be the same. And even if you have endo, all of our journeys are completely different. But yet we're still experiencing the same emotions in terms of like sadness, frustration, loss, grief. And so it has turned into a bigger picture where I'm like, okay, this isn't just endo. This is anybody who wants to come on who has had a difficult time navigating their health journey or has been dismissed or medically gaslit. So you're right. It's hard to just stay in a niche in something that is so heavy with.
It really is. Yeah. And I know that there's nonprofits that are trying to raise, you know, funding for that specific, you know, diagnosis and everything. And that's not always bad. I mean, that's needed too. But at the same time, I think there's space to have that more collective community conversation that you're talking about. I mean,
for me too, when I was kind of like doing market research and whatnot, I was looking at other people's social media, and this is just my opinion, but somebody posting a statistic that says 1 in 10 and just 1 in 10. How is that helpful? Yes, it's giving some piece of information to your audience, but like I wanted to create content that wasn't just shooting out statistics or like positive affirmations.
Right. So like, again, calling back to that realistic, authentic experience more.
Yeah. Like, this is my story. I am pretty sure that somebody out there is going to resonate with it. And honestly, I wanted to reach the people that turned my episode on and like in their car was like, she fucking gets it. That was like in my head. That's what I envisioned, because that's what I was missing.
Yeah. Did you find that at all anywhere else, or was that something that only came after you? So
I really didn't.
And everything.
Even after the last round of IVF failed and my endo returned and I ended up having to get a total hysterectomy, I struggled and still do with like, where do I fit in? And I remember being like looking online for local support groups, and my options were like AA or grief. And it was like the grief groups were more geared towards people who had lost somebody, and it didn't sit well for me. I didn't feel like that's where I belonged either. And that was part of the reason why I started, was because I couldn't find anywhere that like I fit in.
Right. Even on social media, I guess there was probably not quite.
Yes, there is. There are a lot of endo support groups. And I don't know if you've had the same experience, but there's a lot of pettiness within these support groups. And I actually find that some of them do more harm than they do good.
I've had that experience too. You know, I haven't joined that many, but the few I have tried with muscular dystrophy, there is that some users that are, you know, have that pettiness, and it's just, I don't know.
I posted that so long ago, you're copywriting or something.
Or even like challenging proper usage of words and diagnoses. And it's like, in the end, who the fuck cares if it's like a slightly different?
Our mission is the same thing.
Exactly.
Like, why are we like in our own community, like beating each other up instead of like coming together and working as one? So I started getting off, especially the Facebook. support groups.
That's the worst ones that I've
seen, I don't find those. And, some people do, and that's great. And
right.
Luckily we've got different avenues of communities to,
true,
between TikTok and Instagram and whatnot.
All the 50 platforms that are out there now.
Yeah, seriously. So I just knew that like when I was creating everything, I wanted it to be what I felt was missing within the community.
And I mean, I love that because it does, in the end, it connects deeply to you, but also to the guests that you have on, I would think. And I'm curious, are there like some highlight moments or guests that you've had so far that you wanted to talk a little bit about? I'm sure they're all probably really interesting.
I mean, every person that I've met has impacted me deeply in some sort of way. I think the most memorable stories are the episodes, which really has happened every time. I will tell you, I had a doctor on and she called out the healthcare system. And that was brave and also healing at the same time. To have somebody who is a endo specialist say to somebody who has endo, we are failing you. We have failed you. And there needs to be more education and more knowledge within the healthcare system. That episode for me was, I got off that recording and started crying because
you felt understood by the other side, right?
Yeah. And it was like, okay, not all doctors are bad people. Right. Not all doctors are dismissive.
Right.
There are some amazing doctors out there, and she reminded me of that.
Well, and I haven't seen many doctors coming on podcasts talking about issues like that and admitting, to that it needs to adapt and change.
Yeah.
So what was the process like, even getting in contact with the doctor, and like, were they right away ready to come on and talk, or was there some hesitation? Or
I have to say the doctors that I've reached out to have been immediate responses, more than willing to come on and talk about it. Their, platform themselves are pushing for change and policy change for insurance. And I have not hit any kind of walls in terms of trying to convince a physician to come on.
Right. Okay. Because I know that there's definitely some, even just in the office, they get defensive and maybe challenged by the fact that,
and especially if you're not like a physician yourself. But I thought it was really important too, to have doctors on, but since I'm in healthcare, wanted to make it so that the language was not so clinical. Like, let's break it down, because these people, like, let's talk about it in terms of a way like a sixth grader could understand it. I don't want to bring guests on in the medical field that just sit there and talk a bunch of medical jargon, and nobody knows what you're talking about. And so I make it a point to include, clinical information and where we're at with research. But
there is a way you can bring it to the table where it's understandable by a wider audience, I think. That makes a lot of sense. Coming from a research background, like the acronyms and the terminology can get a little bit intense. So.
Yeah. And like, I understand what you're saying. I understand because I'm in the industry, but like, we're talking, 99% of the rest of people have no idea what you're talking about. And then you spend the entire episode having
trying to explain. Yeah. And I would imagine that a lot of the listeners probably come in thinking that their doctor is like, everything they say is, to be taken as like gold, basically. And it's not always that way, obviously. So that awareness factor, I think, is, it's hard because you want the answers to be handed to you with.
Well, and we trust these people. This is what they went to school for. Like, I grew up not questioning, doctors to a certain extent. My dad's a doctor, so I questioned everything. But anybody who doesn't have a physician in their home, you go to the doctor and what they tell you is
like the word,
and game. Like that's it, So luckily, for me, I did have a physician who my dad always, even to his own patients, would say, if I'm your first doctor that you're coming to see, go get a second opinion.
And he was promoting that from the start.
Yep. Yeah. So I learned from a very young age that it is absolutely necessary and it should be protocol to get at least 2 opinions on your case.
Right. And that's the only way to me that you're going to get the full picture of what's going on, maybe, or at least a bigger picture.
Right.
So, that actually is really a good, I think, point to shift into kind of your health experience. And with like, you having a parent that was a doctor, like what was your sort of diagnosis pathway? I know you said it was fairly recent that you got the diagnosis.
Yeah.
But like growing up, what was that like?
It's really interesting. I have a love-hate relationship with the healthcare system. I fell in love with medicine when I was 7 or 8 and knew right away that like I was either going to be a doctor or I was going to do something within healthcare. I've always been a really giving person and I love to help people. And I started having excruciating symptoms when I was 13. And every single doctor from the time I was 13 to 37 years old told me that everything that I was experiencing was completely normal as a woman, that there was nothing to be concerned about. I was hospitalized on multiple occasions and even almost got rolled back into the OR to have my appendix taken out without having them do imaging because they were so convinced that because of where I was like touching my abdomen, that it was my appendix. And again, thank God I have the knowledge that I do because I demanded to have a CT scan and it showed it was not my appendix. So a system that I fell in love with, currently work in, failed me and failed and continues to fail millions of people around the world. And it's been a difficult pill to swallow. Like I said, I would say that the majority of physicians out there stand by their oath and want to help. I think that there's just such a lack of research and funding and awareness around endometriosis that it's not a specialty that OBs study in med school. They touch on it for a couple of weeks, but not enough.
Right.
And that's, that has consequences and we're seeing it now. And it's really hard because had one doctor just spent a little time to believe me and dig deeper and, not tell me that my symptoms were normal, my entire life could have looked completely different. The disease robs me of my ability to have biological children. And it sucks. And it shouldn't continue to happen, especially in today. It's 2026.
Right.
Like we have the technology.
Well, and also I think that the knowledge as far as empathy and like being aware of the human factor of what the patients are going through, like that, it seems like it should be built into kind of the ethics of training to become a doctor. Absolutely. And, even myself being in biomedical research, I wasn't on the medicine treatment side of it, but at the same time, you see the breakdown of where, people don't understand how to approach people with like certain conditions, or like even like in the ICU I was in several years back, there was no knowledge of how to work with somebody with muscular dystrophy and what that entails. Even just a small amount of training, I think would have helped, with just here's what to expect with patients that have certain conditions. And, and that's falling through the cracks now still.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
There needs to be more doctors like the guest you
Yes.
had that come on and actually admit and talk about what the issues are. So that's huge. And also to me, the fact that they didn't trust you necessarily to say, well, shouldn't we scan? Shouldn't we verify that it's not the appendix before we just dive right in?
We forget, I think sometimes, healthcare is a business and money is the bottom line. Conspiracy theory right here. I believe there's 100% a cure for cancer, but there's no way it would ever come out because the pharmaceutical business would lose billions, trillions of dollars. So why would they come out with a cure?
And if it is, it's going to be a, year like perpetual cure where you have to keep funneling money into their pockets, basically.
So, you walk into a hospital or an ER and it is how fast can we diagnose? How fast can we get them out of here so we make room for the next one? It is a business. And unfortunately, money is a priority over patient care.
It really is. And I remember being in ICU, they would do an x-ray every morning at like 3 a.m. And it's like, you couldn't possibly see anything new that soon after. And also they didn't realize I had a hairline fracture in my hip. And so I asked them to do, a CT scan of that area. And there was actually one there. And they didn't believe me for a while. So it's just like, how often does that have to happen before? It
happens all the time. Unfortunately, as you know,
everybody has that story.
I tell everyone when they get their bill from the hospital, I know it's tedious, but you look at every single thing you've been charged for, because I can guarantee you are going to find multiple things that you never had. And they are hoping that you don't look it over. And people don't also you can challenge.
Yeah,
you can call and tell them, I can't pay this right now. But people don't know that. That's not information anybody's going to hand out and tell the patients.
Right. So it's always after the fact, right? Like there's no prep or planning or here's what it's going to look like on cost. Yeah. And then if
at
your
that point
insurance
too,
isn't covering. mean,
Exactly.
yeah,
Insurance.
yeah. And that was the next thing I was going to ask you about. I was like, oh, you're in general. I know that's a annoying thing to keep thinking about, but what
Yeah.
was it like for you on insurance? Just
I mean, gosh. So I work closely with a nonprofit Endo Excision for All and women's health advocates. And we are actually going to Washington, D.C. March 10th to provide members of Congress with a letter demanding that insurance change the coding and have a specific code for excision surgery, since that's considered the gold standard in treating endo. And the reason for that is because right now, since there isn't a subspecialty, insurance can deny the claim for somebody who needs endo surgery and ends up having to pay out of pocket, which ends up being, I think, around anywhere between $70,000 and $80,000. And who can afford that?
yeah, I mean, nobody can
No. And
withstand.
the doctors aren't being reimbursed, and these surgeries take hours to fully, if you're a true excision specialist, they are not making money on it. And so do we blame them because they don't want to do a 5-hour surgery to be paid absolutely nothing? No, I blame insurance.
Right.
So
because that's the power player that controls everything in the end.
Yep. Yeah.
And I mean, it's not like there's not heavy burdens on us from every other, place with chronic illness. It's, throw on the financial thing too with insurance, and
medical care depends on how well you can navigate the system rather than how much you're suffering, right?
Yeah,
and it goes back to the whole business thing. So, I mean, insurance has a massive role to play in it because they put limits on consultations and surgeries, medications. And it's like we live in the United States. We have this incredible technology and knowledge, but the system around us is broken.
Right. And to me, the sharing and awareness of what the insurances can do. I mean, you need someone almost full time looking at just your case, trying to find the right pathway to go.
Correct.
And I mean, even Medicare, which I've been using, like there's 50 plus plans with different companies, and to navigate and figure out what is the best
which one is going to suit you best. It's
and
so
the
much
deductibles
and as you know, people like us who have these chronic illness and have to live with this on a daily basis. Like it is so overwhelming. We have so many other things that we are fighting on a daily basis. And the last thing people are thinking about or wanting to deal with is challenging insurance, doing appeals, asking doctors to code differently. Like, why are we putting this on the patient?
Right. And I mean, that procedure, by the time you go and try to call somebody and wait through all of the wait lists and try to actually get in touch with someone who knows what's going on.
Right.
I mean, you're just spending hours and hours of time on that, or your family is, and
you don't know what you don't know.
True. Right.
So there's so many people, and that's part of the reason why I created like my one-on-one services was because I don't gatekeep. Like I'm here to help you. And so that's exactly what I do. Being in healthcare is I provide, I am by your side from point A to however long you need. And I am helping you navigate your journey, whether it be on an emotional and physical level or like helping you with insurance. And,
I mean, it seems like a therapeutic experience too, in a way, because you understand, a lot of what's going on. So you're able to help.
Oh my gosh. And it's so frustrating. Like when I hear these stories and I'm interviewing people and they're
telling
me
over and over again.
Oh my God. It makes my blood boil. And I'm like, God, I then been like, I should have started this years ago. Like, think of how many more people I could have helped.
True. Right. But I mean,
we're here, we're doing it now. And that's what's important.
Yeah. I mean, you're bringing light to it now. And it was you navigating your own journey with it too, before you were even at the point to do it. So like, I think timing is probably, it's one of those things, you just
everything really happens for a reason. I guess.
Kind of.
I mean,
but no, I actually was going to ask you, like silver lining, like I wouldn't say there's, I mean, in my case, I wouldn't say the good outweighs the bad necessarily, but like, what are some of the silver linings you see with your health journey now and where you're at?
Oh gosh. I mean, again, I am resonate exactly with what you just said. I think, part of my therapy too is personally being like, is there a silver lining when I was robbed of something that like was my biggest dream since I was a little girl, to be a mom?
Yep.
I don't know that you can ever really look at a silver lining on that, but if I had to, the silver lining would be what has come out of it and my ability now to create a safe space where people trust me and feel like good to come on and trust me with some of the most personal experiences of their life. And anytime I get a text message or a message on socials where they say thank you,
It's worth it.
that's my silver lining.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a personal thing that's so hard, I think, to share and express, what that's like when it doesn't work,
Yeah.
And even, I mean, not quite the same, but with MD and things like that, like the ability to have kids and everything was something that was a goal of mine always, and it's to the point now, it's just like, I don't feel good about it happening either. So I don't know, it's a deeply personal and
Yeah. I mean, it's
yeah,
coming to terms with a new reality, a new life that you
yeah,
never asked for or expected, because I
I'm like a
definitely was
version
one
of
of those.
you dies
Exactly.
basically.
It's a death, I
Yeah.
had to start my life completely over.
Yep.
I went through a nasty divorce. Um, I was with this person for 10 years. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, it really was, you go through all the steps of grieving as you
Yeah.
would losing
Yeah.
somebody, because I lost this version of me that was, and then I lost the version of what I thought I was going
Yeah.
to be.
And when you're
And
growing up, you have these ideas of, what
mhm,
it's going to look like. And
totally.
I mean,
I never thought, I mean, I remember hearing, you know, after college and whatever, when friends started to start their families
mm,
and somebody
yeah.
was going through IVF back then, this was, I mean, I don't even know how long ago that was, but
Yeah.
like, I remember even saying to my mom how I like, oh my God, I feel so sorry for them. Like, that's never going to happen to me.
Yeah.
We all
Yeah.
think we're invincible, right?
Of course. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
guess what? Chronic illness, chronic disease, pain doesn't discriminate.
Well, and I always, think about like something could pop up, any day that's going to it's going to bring a disability or, chronic pain and everything. And you just don't know. I mean, you can't plan or predict when that's going to happen.
You can't.
Yeah.
So I think it's also taught me to be more present.
Yeah.
And, I'm here now. And yes, my future looks different, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to be filled with, happiness and joy. It's just going to
Yeah.
look different than what I thought it was. But I
Mhm.
mean, I'm here on the other side of, trauma therapy for
Yeah.
3 days a week.
And I mean, it's one of those things you just deal with what it is as it
You
comes.
have
That's
to. I
all
mean,
you
you
can
have a
really
choice. You
do.
can either, I mean, how
Yeah.
easy is it to wake up in the morning and think of all the negative shit?
Mhm. Too easy.
It is so easy to fall into a deep black hole and be depressed.
Mhm.
What's hard is making the choice every day to get up and just be thankful for what you have that is good.
Yeah. Right then. I mean,
Correct.
that's the thing, is that, and I know in business too and everything, they say, well, you have your 5-year plan or something like that, like you need
I'm
to
like, I have an
be,
hour plan.
I have a, yeah, hour by hour moment plan. And
Like,
that's where I'm
that's
at.
as far as it goes for me, folks.
And honestly, like that's a good thing in a lot of ways, I think, you don't take it for granted. Like
Totally.
you're putting, I mean, the enjoyment I think that you get from things too is
Yes.
bigger. So yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that all of that you're talking about with, again, it doesn't mean that, that's, you achieve
Like,
that
the
every
loss will always be
time.
there. It's
Yeah.
not something that's going to go away.
But given where, like what the hand is that we're dealt or whatever the
Correct.
cliche,
Yeah.
like you got to find some silver lining somewhere if
And I did. I
possible.
got to a point too where I was literally like, what's the point of living?
Yeah.
What is the point? And
that's the darkest place you can go. I mean, there's no.
I was done.
Yeah, yeah. And that's
Yeah.
when you were talking about that connection too with so many of us with different diagnoses, but still like we've been to that place.
Yep.
Like, I go right back to the hospital ICU experience I had, and like, I had a tube in my mouth and I wasn't able to talk, and like, all the things going on already with the muscle weakness again, and it was just like, I don't have the physical side, I can't communicate. So like, where do you go from that? Like,
what helped you make the decision to continue?
Honestly, my parents did. My mom, like, luckily it was during COVID still, but like somehow we got it to the point that they were alternating, staying in with me and helping out. And I just, I remember I'd never looked at options for, that whole process of what that would entail. And I remember she just said, just, would you just try? Like, and I'm just laying there like, it hit hard.
Yeah.
And I haven't even talked that much about it actually, I guess, since, but like, that's
it's hard.
why.
I mean, that is, again, like, to circle back to what we started this conversation with is, no, we don't have the same journey. We don't have the same chronic illness, but when I tell you, I see you.
Yeah.
I fucking mean it. Like,
Yeah.
I know what that dark moment was. And like you, it was my mom and my sister who, like, looked at me and just was, please don't give up. Like,
it's the support.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is because of my dearest best friend, my mom and my sister, my dad. If it weren't for them every single day telling me that life is worth living and that not necessarily it's going to be okay, but we're going to get through this.
Well, and you realize that they're bringing that unconditional, like,
yeah,
it's like, whatever happens, we're going to be there to love you and want you to be, they want you to be here. So, I mean, that's the only reason, I think. Like,
I agree.
Yeah. So that's, again, the deeper connection with
absolutely
illness and everything is there. Yeah. So, gosh, that's some deep discussion.
But it's real, right? This is real life. This is, I mean, these are the things that people don't want to talk about, and they're the most important things that we should be talking about.
And the good thing is, like, us talking about it, I think that we both have audiences that maybe need it and maybe listening. They're like, I feel exactly that, you know, and that's,
and I would love to have you on my show.
Oh, I'd love that too.
Okay,
I'd love to do that. Yeah. Okay. Especially like anytime someone says like they are covering other areas of health or diseases or anything like that. I'm like, okay, this is like, these are my people because.
No, yeah, I'd love to have you on. I think that,
Yeah. And for people that, you know, that are wanting to look at your podcast and everything, can you tell, like, I know Instagram is one of the places, but just.
I'm on Instagram at Endo Warriors Podcast. TikTok is at Endo Warriors Podcast. And you can find more about my story and my services at ownmyendo.com.
Awesome. That sounds good. Well, and you're very brave for still doing the TikTok. Like I paused mine a little bit ago and I'm just like,
I don't know what I'm doing.
I can't do it.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. TikTok is just,
TikTok's like a whole nother universe.
It's like a parallel or something. I don't know.
It's like the Matrix, 100%.
Yeah, totally is. Yeah. Okay. Well, I want to do a very last icebreaker if you have time. Okay. But I know you had done a post, and I think that's where I first reached out and actually met you.
Yes, you did.
On The Beast in Me, new series with Claire Danes. I can't remember some of the other actors, but it was like, I don't know, it was pretty deep, intense stuff. But I'm curious, like, your mini review of that, if you want to give it without major spoilers.
Ooh, okay. So if you are somebody who loves a psychological thriller and like you think you're good at solving,
like you can figure it out right
the puzzle,
away. Yeah.
I challenge you to go watch this and see and be honest if it ended up going the way you thought it was in your head. Because let me tell you, it threw me a loop, and I am so good at figuring those things out.
Until that one.
Hey,
that one
got
me. It was
a
challenge, right? Like it's worth it. Yeah.
It was.
And
I
also,
loved it.
like bringing back the Psycho Killer song too. By the way, that was a pretty good choice, I have to say.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So I definitely recommend.
I like social media is just fun. Like I just like, I don't really care. People judge all you want. I just show up and I'm here for one mission, and that's,
Yeah. And social media gets taken too serious. So,
100%.
Yeah,
like we just all need to stop taking ourselves so seriously, because at the end of the day, like we don't matter.
Well, we can give a movie or series review as good as anybody, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So if you like mystery drama and
love
love
psychological thrillers, love a good serial killer documentary.
Yeah. And like her, I don't know, facial expression and like the way. Yeah, it's good. I highly recommend.
I highly suggest it for all the listeners out there. And again, please let me or Ty know the truth if you really figured it out or if it blew your mind.
Right. Yeah. What we should do is like episode by episode, be like, who do you think it is after episode 1?
Ooh,
that would be pretty good.
I like this.
Yeah.
But we could do it with like more different series too.
Like new stuff coming out.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we could like project our guesses or something after. I
am so into this right now.
I like it. Yeah. Yep. I'm ready to find the next series.
Me too.
Honestly.
I'm going.
Awesome. Well, that sounds good, Callie. I'm looking forward to that. I think there's potential.
I do too. I think we've got something here.
Yeah, same here. But I sure appreciate you coming on, and
I appreciate you
look forward
having
to sharing, your story with everybody.
Thank you.